Hey yo guys, how's it going? Tally here, and today we're going to give our good friend of the channel Jamie a call, and he's going to take us through his Post Eternity Code Mermail Atlantean deck list, and we're going to have a good time. Now, I'm going to be relatively quiet for the call because when it comes to Mermails, Jamie just knows what he's talking about, so I'm just going to let him talk for as much or as little as he thinks is appropriate. But before we get on the call, guys, as always, if you like the video, make sure to like it, it helps the channel grow. Also, something that helps the channel grow is make sure to drop a comment on the channel. Let me know what you think about the deck list, let me know what you think about how's your day going, or if you've got something that you don't really like. If you want to support the channel but you don't know what to say, then just hit us with a hashtag for the algorithm. And guys, as always, if you do enjoy the content, then feel free to join Team Tally today by subscribing. Alright, now I'm going to let Jamie take it away.
So going over the Mermail list now, so Post ETCO and so on. So this is the more control-based variant. So you're not doing the Trishula hand loop version where you rip every card out of their hand. You're mercifully only going to rip about 3, maybe 4, depending on the use of Minstrel. So fairly standard package at the moment. As you're looking at the deck, you'll notice that there aren't any hand traps. This is something I'm going backwards and forward on. It is primarily a going first build. Going second, a lot of the decks right now are just going to absolutely run a train on you. And Mermails are not, despite what a lot of people would love to say, the best board breaking deck anymore. So you normally just rely on seeing your sides and ideally want to win the roll, but I don't like having the sort of full vulnerability there, but it's something that can be worked on. So 3 Dragoons, obviously fairly standard, your ultimate searcher. 1 heavy infantry and 1 marksman. I'm playing 1 of each at the moment just for more water monsters and more names and so on. Marksman can come up. I'm not the biggest fan of it and it almost never makes its way into my list. And if I can find other things to thin out for, imperms or ash, he's definitely among the first to go. Rosenix is again another quite good card. It's just an easy extender. So when you're going off in your first turn and you're setting up into your board, having the additional token that you can get from Rosenix is quite handy. We're not playing the Gen X engine anymore. We've cut that to make the space for Aria. But Rosenix still comes up handy because it's just a free +1, when you use it as fodder. So Deep Sea Diva, now at 3, obviously playing 3 copies of that. Best card in the deck as your starter, obviously, but at the same time, it's the weakest because when you dedicate your normal summon to Diva, you can get punished. Unlike if you summon Neptibus Prince, you can summon Prince and it can get a send as cost, and even if they ash it, you've still sent, Dragoons or something, and you can still potentially start to make some plays. Deep Sea Diva is obviously better, but if you don't have a way to protect it, it always feels risky. So right now, instead of hand traps, we've got the 3 Deep Sea Minstrel. Mermail hard loses to Nibiru. That's no small secret. Obviously there's a lot of combo variants at the moment that rely on the hand loop. Some of them use Minstrel, some of them will set up a negate before they go and make the combo, but from seeing a lot of those videos, looking at a lot of those profiles, a lot of them seem to focus on particular cards as opposed to a certain strategy where they consistently can block Nibiru, but the problem is that you're running so many janky cards that your deck will have a consistent issue. But that's just my humble opinion. 1 Lapis Dragon. It's another tuner, which is really handy. You can get it out very easily if you've used Dragoons. It can be revived with things like Coraline Enemy and stuff as well. There have been matches where, from the pinch, you'll use Coraline Enemy, revive back Lapis, and then you can make a Needle Fiber play, even if it's just like an end of turn final extender. For your Mermail names for Teus, 1 Gund and 1 Mander, and then the 1 Pike, which you'll just sort of moves up the way. So that is quite a small package. Gund, again, just a good extender. It's the only of Atlantean / Mermail that triggers by just a raw discard, comes off a Swap Frog. But it's easy to revive things back and continue your plays for your starting board. Mander is your primary access into Calamities. Teus is your generic best searcher. Teus Dragoons is the infamous best combo in the deck. 1 Molten Glacier for getting those 2 cards ripped out of the hand. 3 Prince, obviously very great card. You're not affecting any of the ratios. I saw one list where someone had actually put down Prince just because of Aria, and to an extent I saw the logic, but by that logic it would have made more sense maybe to thin Aria down to 2 copies, which may actually be correct. It is a hard once, and there is a lot of search and cover in. Admittedly, I'm a bit guilty of not having done a huge amount of testing to see if the consistency favours that maybe remove the Marksman, the Rosenix, and 1 Aria to force in some hand traps. But yeah. So then, Ronin Tonin and 3 Swap Frogs, just your basic Totally package. The 1 Mizuchi, again, it's still really good to block Dark Ruler No More, Super Poly, or just starting spells. It's a free negate that you get from your combo. Obviously, it can be a bit of a brick. It's rare that you'll not be able to make some kind of board. Even in the worst dire circumstances, you'll normally be able to put 2 fish on board and make Abalacia. And if you've drawn the Mizuchi, equip it. So it's generically good. I've got a lot of time for it. It wins a lot of matches just by having that extra stopping power that is a free part of your combo. 3 Call by the Grave, because again, you are weak to a lot of hand traps. So having 3 Minstrel and 3 Call by the Grave is very, very strong. 3 Deep Sea Aria, again, I imagine this is a ratio that will go up and down. But if you look at decks like Cyber Dragons, Emergency is a hard once per turn, and you still have cards like Core and Repair Plant. But you'll play 3 Emergency, but you'll probably play 1 Plant, but you'll still play 3 Core. I'm approaching this with the same sort of logic, where it's 3 Aria, 3 Prince, and 3 Diva, and so on. 1 Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion I just love. I'm probably guilty of holding myself back at this stage by continuing to play it, but resolving Cross Sheep's effect and just reviving that Dragoons can be absolutely nuts. If you open up any of your combo pieces, if you open Deep Sea Diva or Prince, any of these starters in your hand, but you also see Instant Fusion, your ending board immediately gets just an extra massive power. You get an extra search and you end on a Toad, because Instant Fusion is almost always just a 1 card Toad in this deck. It's absolutely nuts. 1 Monster Reborn, easy generic extender. Again, might be on the chopping block to make hand traps, so you'll probably see an updated list soon. And then 1 for 1, because it's just more ways to get Prince, more ways to get your starters out. So you've got 1 for 1, 3 Prince, 3 Aria, 3 Diva, all really great starters. Technically, if we're playing the maths game, your opening hand should always consist of some level of play. Mm-hmm. For the edge deck, 1 Rare Fish. I put that in over Madragon, just because it's more of a joke, I suppose, but there's a lot of matches I've been playing online with my mate Sean, and there was also some of the online tournaments I was playing in where I could make a play where I could go into Abalacia or something like that, but because Mudragon was a worm, I couldn't actually do it, and I couldn't play it of just the worst possible bricking scenarios. So just for the joke, I've changed it to Rare Fish, so that I can make the play if I need to. It's not exactly the better choice, but it's not like Mudragon comes up a huge amount. I don't feel like I'm really losing a lot from that. Most of the time, if you're resolving Instant Fusion, it's going to be halfway or near the end of your combo. So blocking things like Impermanence, which is Mudragon's best use at that stage, it's really not going to come up a lot. So Rare Fish just helps you have the ratios to make other cards in a pinch. Mm-hmm. 1 Brionac, it's good to keep in. It's very good in matches like Altergeist and so on. This deck can obviously still OTK very well, and it can be difficult to deal with certain boards. But if you make a basic Lapis Dragon play with Prince and go into Brionac, it forces a reaction because it's just a very powerful card. It is a shame that it doesn't get its effect on summon, because it does mean that before you can trigger any additional cost, like by summoning Brionac and pitching a heavy infantry or so on, you do rely on summoning it, having a reaction, and then using its effect, but it's still good for dealing with control and floodgates. Trap-based floodgates don't affect this deck too badly, but you still want to make sure you've got some good going second options, and Brionac fills that slot quite nicely. Desert Locust speaks for itself. It is part of the hand-ripping combo, so during your combo you'll resolve Mulling Glacier, you're going to then resolve the Needle Fiber on their turn to rip a card with Desert Locust, and then you'll use the Minstrel as well, most likely. So you can still rip a good amount of cards, and there's ways to bait hand traps quite consistently, but it's just, again, a free card. I did look at maybe implementing other cards. It's like trying to put a Crystal Link or something in, but the only way you're going to leave a lot of the correct levels on board to do something like that is by sacrificing better plays. And you know, I'm not saying I'm an authority on the deck, that's just my experience. But yeah, for your XYZ package, fairly standard: one Abyss Dweller, one Bahamut Shark, and one Toad, and then the True King of all Calamities. The combos all remain fairly the same. I mean, obviously there is now the addition of the Needle Fiber combo, where it sort of comes in at the end, where instead of now focusing on making your Calamities an Abalacia with Mizuchi, the Abalacia now only really comes up if you see an additional extender. Now it's more Calamities making the Calamities, Mulling Glacier, and the Needle Fiber for the additional rip. But if you see literally any other extender, any other way to put a single monster on board, you can still set up the Abalacia or IP and so on. So then you've got the Appaloosa for the start of the link. Again, just good generic link. It's not something that always comes up as part of the combo, which again makes you think if it needs to be in there. But I find that Mermails, at least the way I play them, are quite a reactory deck. You look at what your opponent's playing and you can make an assessment that sometimes something like Appaloosa is better when you just need to stop shotgun monster effects. Boil Sword, self-explanatory. Cross Sheet, self-explanatory. Needle Fiber, or Halifibrax, obviously. IP Masquerena, again, comes in because if you see an extender and you don't value, for instance, the Spell Negate, so you're not going to make Abalacia to equip Mizuchi. If your opponent is playing more monsters, instead of making the Abalacia with an extender, you might just make the IP, and then you'll just go into Appaloosa on their turn, or whatever it is you need to. One Phoenix, one Coral Anemone. Coral Anemone is good. Again, you get locked into waters, and with the added bonus that Halifibrax is water, you can now make more plays post-resolving an enemy's effect. So you can still set up another hand rip, set up Needle Fiber, and so on. And then one Abalacia. Again, just a very, very strong generic link too. Better Mistar Boy, and when you set that up in the mid game, where it does come up a huge amount, it's very terrifying for your opponent to hit over it because it's just so much plus. It can revive 90% of the cards in your deck, so it's, in my opinion, too good not to play, at least at the moment. Side deck. So I've got the 1 Scythe and 3 Sanctum. I had considered Dimensional Barrier, but again, there's a lot of decks that can beat into Mermail going second. Orcust can be quite finicky if you don't set up your Calamities, so if you've not seen Teus, decks like Orcust can still break your board and play over the hand rip very easily, especially if you've not seen Mander, you've ripped cards out of their hand and you've just put their own Orcust monsters in grave. Things can go bad for you quite quickly, so Dimensional Barrier doesn't quite do the trick for that matchup, but Scythe does. 3 Nibiru, fairly self-explanatory. 3 Dark Ruler No More, again, the board breaking capabilities here. Mermails can easily go second and break a negated board, as can most decks. And Dark Ruler No More just essentially facilitates that, where you'll break the board and just set up the negates, and hopefully you've won the resource match at that stage. And then your Spell Destruction pack, 3 Lightning Storm and 2 Twin Twisters. I have gone back and forth on sometimes putting things in so I can run evenly matched, but this is the package that I keep coming back to.
I like it. One thing I've noticed, especially about the way you play Mermail, is that it's really safe and really consistent, and I like that. I like the fact that that there has been people coming on and are like, Mermail, one of the new best decks, and they've got 1 million combos and 1 million garnets, whereas I can't really, maybe it's because of my inexperience, but I can't really see that many garnets with the deck, maybe Ronin Toadin, but you've got a lot of play starters, you've got a lot of good extenders, like your deck is just, if I could use one word, is just really safe, and I think that's kind of what you want in a lot of decks, especially if they aren't, you know, kind of the tier 1 deck that can afford 1 million extenders, or if it's not like Eldritch where it's just consistent and slow and supposed to be that way. Like you just want a nice safe combo, and looking at the amount of starters you've got, like yeah, it's so safe, it's so good. A lot of ways to set up.
Without seeing Minstrel, you do still risk losing to Nibiru, but you're absolutely bang on the money. If you look at a lot of these new decks where it's all needle fiber reliant for a hand loop and so on, you have to run O-Lion, you're running Jet Synchron, you do start putting in a lot more cards, and there are already cards that can brick you. You know, any of the low-level Mermails can be pretty bricky. Marksman, Infantry, you know, there are cards that are very bricky, and when you start adding to that, you do risk damaging that. So in a way, I almost play Mermails with the same mentality as I do Cyber Dragons, as strange as that sounds. And that's why I'm still so back and forth on a card like Deep Sea Minstrel, because, you know, if you put it in a bracket and say this card gives you knowledge of your opponent's entire hand and lets you turn a card into their hand dead, because they get it back in the end phase, but, you know, because you've banished potentially a Nibiru or a hand trap before they've had a chance to use it, that card goes back to their hand and is effectively dead. You know it's there, so you can play around it if you need to coming up, but yeah, this is absolutely the safer version of Mermail. You don't rip every single card out of your opponent's hand, but you still rip most of the cards out of their hand and set up really good states, while still having the flexibility to have fun with the deck. You can make different plays, you can deal with different strategies, and have good interactive matches. So yeah, I guess time will tell if I'm on the money of it being the more viable for like a long-term tournament sort of deck, or if this just ends up being a bit more of a dated fun strategy. But I'm feeling pretty happy with it at the moment.
Nice. Right, Jamie, thank you. First of all, it has been so long since I've heard your sweet dulcet tones on the channel and in general. I've very much missed it. I do like listening to you talk. I try with some deck profiles for other people to chat to them about the deck, but I just like listening to you talk about the deck because you are very knowledgeable on it, as we know you did in fact.
Thank you very much. That's the nicest way anyone's ever put it, is that I can't shut my gob.
Nah, because like you know what you're talking about, and I think when someone knows what they're talking about, it's really interesting to hear them talk. So guys, let's take this one to the outro, but again, thank you Jamie for showing us the new Post Eternity Code Mermails.
No worries, my pleasure, and everyone make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already.
What a guy, I adore him. Guys, that's the deck profile. Alright, thank you to Jamie as always for coming on, teaching us a little bit about Mermail Atlanteans. Maybe a deck that I pick up on the channel and do a few videos on, and maybe like another learning series. Who knows, we'll find out. But guys, as always, if you like it, give it a like, and if you love it, give it a share and tell everyone you know about Team Tally today. If you want to join Team Tally, the subscribe button is right down below, and if you want to catch up with me outside of YouTube, then I do have a Twitch, Twitter and Instagram. They're all at tcg_tally. Alright guys, and as always, if you want to help out the video grow, then feel free to drop a comment. Alright, if you don't have anything to say, hashtag for the algorithm. Guys, you've been amazing. I have been Tally. I will catch you later.